Krishna. So we'll continue with the character of Dhritarashtra for some more time. We saw yesterday the psychology of Dhritarashtra in regards to how there is a conflicting consciousness. He knows, but he cannot act. He has an insight, but there is no action. He knows his Daiva. He mentally submits to Daiva, but his action is against that Daiva and tries to do something where he is obsessed by his Mamakar and his Ahankar. Even at the time of trying to crush Bhima, he spoke this to Krishna. Krishna, he said, what can I do? It is not honesty, it's a shamelessness. He said, what can I do? I am controlled by moha and dukkha. The moha and dukkha made Dhritarashtra again to fight his very Daiva. Hope against hope. And therefore what happens? In the entire Mahabharata, if you see the suffering, yes, Draupadi had a suffering, but her suffering was connected to sacrifice. Her suffering was connected to yajna. So there is some kind of fulfillment when you go through some kind of pain, but if you see the fruit of that pain is benefiting the world, so that satisfaction is there. It's worth all that. But Dhritarashtra's suffering is all connected from his endeavor, his understanding, and his consequences. Is all suffering without any positive consequences. So therefore you can imagine how much he must have gone through what he has gone through. But Vyasadeva presents the character of Dhritarashtra in such a way that nothing transforms his consciousness. He's like a stone. He's like a stone. So therefore, Dhritarashtra, he speaks. Again, one more thing he spoke. I am not afraid of Arjun. Next one. Krishna or even Bhima or the twins. See, he was afraid of power, but here he is talking about Yudhishthira Maharaj's character. But I certainly fear, O Suta, the burning anger of that king. He possesses austerity and self-control. His plans are sure to succeed. Knowing his anger about the ongoing conflict, I am utterly fearful now. In fact, Yudhishthira Maharaj, tapasya, tapasya when it is directed for the right reason, you don't have to be Yudhishthira Maharaj. Even someone does the same thing for many years, religiously, dharmically, if they speak something positively or they express their pain, it actually works. It is not necessarily sharper. There are unlimited energies in this world. And you can imagine Yudhishthira Maharaj being such a positive person, extremely reluctant to talk about justice. Forget revenge. He said, if I try for justice, that will also cause pain to others. So let me take all the pain. He lived like that. We will discuss his character. So this Yudhishthira Maharaj, Dhritarashtra knew about him when in the Virata's kingdom, when Virata, he got the news that that his son has defeated the great Kurus. He didn't realize it was Arjun. So the news was brought to him that your son has defeated the great Kuru. So Yudhishthira Maharaj was acting as his secretary, his friend. He said, after having Brahan with your son, it is guaranteed of your victory. So that caused such an anger in Virat. I said, don't say that. My son is victorious. He is responsible. He said, no, it's not possible. Your son is victorious because Brahanyala is there. And eventually Virata lost his temper and he threw the dais on the forehead of Yudhishthira Maharaj. It started bleeding, and immediately Draupadi came and she collected that blood. She said, if this blood drops on your kingdom, it will destroy everything. That was the power of Yudhishthira Maharaj. In fact, Bhishma indirectly, when Duryodhana asked, where do you think the Pandavas are living? He said, wherever there is prosperity, wherever there is happiness, wherever there is good feeling, he said, that is the land where the Pandavas are living. Now, there is a collective consciousness, there is an individual consciousness. We see that certain areas, certain families, they display or give an experience of limitless negative or positive consciousness. And Dhritarashtra knew this, being a Pragya Chakshu. Therefore, what the Shastras say, it is not about only knowing. It is acting what you know. It is better to remain ignorant in regards to knowledge, but it is better to follow the right advice of the great people, Mahajanayana Gatasya Panta, then there is a greater chance that will be elevated to the highest stage of consciousness. So Dhritarashtra, as Prabhupada also explains, he is blind physically, but more blind spiritually. Always denying the realities of life. Therefore, in the beginning of the Mahabharata, Ugrashrava Sutta is basically Suta Goswami, who was narrating the Mahabharata. In the first chapter only, in the Adi Parva, how does Mahabharata actually begins after all the introductory verses? It all begins about Dhritarashtra lamenting after the departure of Bhishma Dev. He tells Sanjay, he said, when I saw the Pandavas coming to Hastinapur from the forest, I realized there is no hope for my sons. He said, when I heard that Yudhishthira Maharaj and the Pandavas, Arjuna, was able to pierce the fish, I realized there is no hope for me. So there are about 27 verses in regards to, 27 to 30 verses wherein Dhritarashtra is speaking about how there is no hope for his son's victory. So therefore, having a hope for a positive thing, which is dharmic centric, is very important. But fighting against our destiny, Daiva, and hoping against it, you'll only experience exactly what you are supposed to experience. But if you keep on stubbornly saying, no, I want to undo it, like it is explained, that hopelessness is a sign of atheism. At the same time, hoping against Daiva is sign of pure materialism. Like when we talk about Kali Yuga, it is not about changing the entire Kali Yuga. You can't change. Somebody sent me a joke after this election. He said the distinction holder is not claiming the government, but the 36 marks, they are claiming that they will be the chief minister. If you study, those who are on the highest level, they are controlled by those who are in the lowest level. That is Kali Yuga. But then if you say it's because it is Kali Yuga, what can I do? No. Kali Yuga is there, but your efforts and endeavor at least will not affect Kali Yuga to you. Somebody during the Vietnam conflict, when America had a Vietnam conflict, the American government was sending young people on the battlefield to fight. There was one person, one socialist, he was holding a placard near White House, protesting against the Vietnam War. And somebody asked him, do you think that government will listen to you? He said, I don't worry about listening to government. I don't worry about government listening to me, but I worry about I listening to government. I don't want to listen to government. I may not change the policies of the government, but I don't want government to change me, because it is against the entire principle of, according to whatever philosophy I was practicing. Therefore, submitting to the laws of Kali means becoming the agent of Kali. Justification, what can I do? This is how Kali Yuga is, therefore I am affected by Kali Yuga, therefore it is not my fault. So Dhritarashtra represents that. As I explained yesterday, none of our scripture expect you to be perfect, complete, pure human being. That is not possible with this body. It is not possible. Soul is pure, but this body is not pure. It is not perfect. We don't know whether we will take next breath or not. We don't have a guarantee. No? So therefore, mechanistically this body is imperfect. Intellectually we have limitless faulty understanding, 4 defects. So therefore, Krishna is not expecting, the Vedic scriptures don't expect us to become perfect human beings. But what they expect us to have a perfect understanding. Right. We discussed yesterday about Dhvani. That Dhvani means to translate the context rightly. Somebody said that what happens in the material world, what happens to you is like a raw material. What you do with that raw material is your responsibility. People grow rice. Now rice is for Indians, wherever you go, whether you go to Uttarakhand or to Uttar Karnataka. Right, you go to Kerala or you go to Punjab. Even though Punjabis eat parotas, but during special festival, basmati rice is required. Right, because rice is a very amazing item. But that very rice can be used for making a liquor also. Rice is a raw material. What you do with that rice, you can make sweet rice, you can make paramana, you can make narli bhat, you can make biryani, you can make pulav rice, you can make masala bhat, you can make chakkar pongal, you make bisi bele bhat. What you do with rice is limitless preparation based upon your taste. And some will make that rice into a liquor, rot it. So it is not the fault of the rice, it is the attitude of the person who's handling the rice. Therefore, events, whatever happened to us is like raw material. That is the power of the living entity. The power of the living entity, because living entity is full of knowledge, full of bliss and full of eternality. Ultimate responsibility lies with the living entity to change. Guru, Shastra, devotees, good people are only a support system. They are not responsible for changing us. The responsibility of a teacher is to teach, but learning is my responsibility. Mother can cook nice food, putting all her efforts. But the child says, Mummy, kal ka bread chahiye. No? She can force in the childhood. But if the child is waiting, I want to grow and one day escape from my mother, then what can you do? Therefore, when the child is spoiled, not all responsibility lies with the parents. Sometimes even good families' children become rotten. And sometimes some bad person becomes extremely good. Prahlad and Hiranyakashipu. What good association Prahlad Maharaj had? He could have said, what could I do other than becoming a demon only? Right, that story is there. That twins were raised by a family, a father was drunkard. And both grew up having the same statement, but having a different attitude and different way of growing in life. One son became very responsible, educated, cultured, and other son followed the legacy of his father. And what did they say? They said, what do you expect after having such a father? Both made the same statement, but their understanding, their approach, their attitude was completely different. So therefore we see that lamentation of Dhritarashtra is not a reflective one. It is like being caught after copying. You are regretting not because you made a mistake, you are regretting because you are caught. And therefore you are confessing. And we will see this in the last part of Dhritarashtra's life, a vicious circle. Now the battle is over. Then Dhritarashtra realizes that all my hope is completely gone. Every one of is dead. There is not even one child who is living to perform the Shraddha ceremony for his children and for him when he dies. They make that statement, they tell Bhima, you should have at least made one child to survive. Of course, there was a one child, his name was Yuyutsva. He survived. So then, when Dhritarashtra was lamenting, that was his core character, lamentation. No? So then, three people come. Three people. Three people come to him, Sanjay, Vidura and Vyas. Now it's very interesting. All these three personalities kept a constant touch with Dhritarashtra, trying to enlighten him with compassion. Because they were all in relationship. Sanjay was a secretary, at the same time a minister also. Vidura was a brother, an enlightened brother, and Vyasdev was his father. Right, he was a father, and he is the literary incarnation of the Supreme Lord. All the literatures what we get to read, whatever Vedic literatures we have, it is all the gift of Vyasadeva. Can you imagine having such people around you to counsel you before you make a mistake and after you make a mistake? Now Sanjay comes to Dhritarashtra, and what does he say? He tells Dhritarashtra, he makes it as an individual problem. He says, my dear Dhritarashtra, my dear master, there is no point in lamenting because you are only cause of your suffering. You are the agent of the suffering and you are the consequences of the suffering. Therefore, lamenting for something what you are responsible will not bring back you happiness. Lamentation is not a tool to overcome what you are going through. He said, don't stop lamenting. He said, you are trying to build a bridge after the water has flown away. You are trying to open a well after the entire palace has been burned to ashes. How many times, how many people told you that you should not behave like that? Therefore, you have sown the seed, you should experience the consequences. He was blunt. He was harsh. But Dhritarashtra knew Sanjay's commitment to him. In good times or bad times, Sanjay always stayed with him, like Sumantara stayed with the Dashratha's family. And the next Vidura came. When Vidura came, Vidura realized that the suffering of my mother is so intense suffering, then it doesn't matter what he did. Because you think, what is the point in talking to him about his personal, cause for this? So Vidura chose the path of generalizing suffering. Very interesting. He said, my dear brother, life is so designed that whoever you are, it doesn't matter. Basically, how Krishna begins the Bhagavad Gita. We many times overlook that shloka. But that is the heart of Bhagavad Gita, or it is the foundation of Bhagavad Gita. What is it? Matra sparshastu kauntaya shitoshna sukha dukkada. Now who is speaking? Krishna is speaking. And whom does he speak to? He speaks to Arjuna. Krishna is not assuring Arjuna that because I am God and you are my greatest devotee, no more duality for you. You'll only get mangoes. No, even mangoes sometime, whether it is Afpus mango or Rajapuri mangoes, not all mangoes always come sweet to you. Not possible. Because the nature of this world is a constant duality, dvandva. And what kind of dvandva? Dvandva is not that this is good and this is bad. Within good there is bad, and within bad there is a hope for future. Very interesting. If you focus and contemplate, dvandva of this material world is so fascinatingly designed that in hopelessness you will find the ray of hope. And in great prosperity you will find there is some salt, pinch of salt that is existing. So Krishna spoke this to Arjuna, to a great devotee by the greatest of the Lord, who can do anything, everything, but he does not do. When we glorify God, we say he can do anything and everything. But when we understand the reality, we realize that he does not break the laws of nature almost all the time. Very, very rarely does it, and seldomly for us. We expect that whatever happened to Prahlad should also happen to me. That's like a failing student expecting 98% marks when he's attempted only 40%. Now how will he get it? So, that is what Krishna spoke to Arjuna. And what does he say? He said, Arjuna, one should learn to tolerate them without being disturbed, because they will come and they will go. They will not stay forever. They will come and they will go. And Krishna never ever contradicted that statement in the complete Bhagavad Gita. He never undid that. Oh, I said this in the 2nd chapter, but now I am telling in the 18th chapter. Not like that. In Bhagavad Gita, it is not this against this. In Bhagavad Gita, this and also this. In our mind, what we do, we try to cancel this chapter against this chapter. When I come to the 18th chapter, 2nd chapter does not become relevant. No, that is not Bhagavad Gita. That is my stupidity. No, does not get cancelled. So Vidura spoke from that perspective very compassionately. He said, my dear brother, he said, everyone in this world who is young will become old. Everyone who has experienced success will also experience failure. Right? Only 3 states now. If you're alert with politically. Nobody ever imagined, that party will be a whitewashed. Right? Big empires. When Hampi was ruling, when the Vijayanagars were ruling, if you study the history of Vijayanagar kingdom, the day when went for the battlefield in Talikot, 1565, it was the empire for 250 years. Their savings, there was no deficit account. There was a saving of 1 million gold coin every day. When that empire was lost, if you study the treasure hunt of Vijayanagar Empire, when the great minister Timmayya, when he took 7,000 horses, 30,000 horses and 7,000 elephant. That wealth is still somewhere stored. Nobody knows. Big story is there. And when it happened, within the gap of 1 day, 1565, for example, Monday, The king was ruling, and that Tuesday, the destruction of Vijayanagar Empire started. Britain Empire, they said, our empire, the sun never sets. And what do they have now? Very small, right? Where in London, sun never rises. Therefore, whenever it rises, they have to call good morning. Good morning was not an everyday phrase. It was a day when the sun would rise. And now Indians, we are good at rituals. Every day we say good morning. Yes, in India, sun always rises. But the context is that. So Vidura spoke this to Dhritarashtra, fact of the matter, that life is designed like this, my brother. So therefore there is no point in lamentation. As much as you are suffering as a loser of the war, at the same time the Pandavas are also suffering as the winner. Therefore in reality, in war there is no victorious people. But sometimes there is no other choice other than war. We'll discuss that during Yudhishthira Maharaj's episode. So he said, therefore, my dear brother, understand these realities of life, accept it, and move on with your life. And he told that famous story. A man was running in the forest, being chased by a tiger, and suddenly fell in the well. And he was about to be devoured by a python. And somehow he was able to grab a small twig of a creeper which was strong. But it was been beaten by black and white rats. And in and around that well, there were unlimited mosquitoes biting him. Big one. When you go to Mayapur, the big mosquitoes. Right. And then what happened? When he was surrounded by this, he gave more example. There was a honeycomb. That the honeycomb, had a small hole. And the honey was dripping every 30 seconds. And what does man do? Man opened his tongue. And expecting the honey to fall on his tongue. He said, that is a life of illusion. He said, don't be like this. Dhritarashtra heard it. It only increased his pain. He fell unconscious. He couldn't take it. Then Vyasdev came. And what did Vyasdev do to Dhritarashtra? He saw Dhritarashtra was almost on the verge of committing suicide. He was about to commit suicide. Vyasdev realized that committing suicide, dying will not help him to overcome all what he has done. Sometimes people pray, wish I could die. You will die with this physical body, but come back with the same mind. Because mind does not die. The mind, the intellect and the ego does not die. Therefore, suicide is so illogical. You come back with great interest. You have to begin from where you have left. And what is you have left? You are left with this, I want to die. You begin with a unlimited negativity. Therefore, that is not a solution. But Dhritarashtra was about to give up his life, commit suicide, where they realized he can't die like this. He has to deal with what he has done. So then Vyasdev, very interestingly, he spoke from another perspective which is called as the perspective of Daiva. Everything what happens in this world happens because of our personal reason. I am involved. Then second reason it happens because the material nature is so designed. The matter, the material world. And the third principle is the principle of higher dimension which is called as Daiva, God, Devatas. So what Vyasdev did to Dhritarashtra, he said, my dear son, this was not your responsibility. And he told him a story. He said, once upon a time when Yamaraj was performing tapasya, And when Yamaraj performed tapasya, nobody dies. Because that's his responsibility. And all the devatas approached Lord Brahma, there is a fault in your creation. Do something about it. He said, no, it will happen, don't worry. He will stop his tapasya, and I will also send personification of Kali to this world. Therefore, the number of people dying will become proper. The machine will start working properly. So he said, don't worry, you are not responsible for the death of all these warriors. Your son is not your son. He is basically Kali personified. So be pacified. Now it's very interesting. Which one Dhritarashtra took to continue his attachment to this world and sit on the throne for 18 more years? He sat on the throne for 18 more years. Happy being called as Raja. Even though Yudhishthira Maharaj was the king, Yudhishthira Maharaj was so indifferent to sitting on the throne, it didn't matter. Because as long as you are performing your duty, whether you are sitting in this chair or that chair, doesn't matter. He allowed him to sit for 18 years. Because what Dhritarashtra chose, why they spoke what they spoke, everyone spoke the truth. It was the rice, it was the sugar, and it was the milk they gave. But Dhritarashtra, instead of making sweet rice, he made a tea with milk. No? And with the rice he made liquor. And sugar he threw away. Iska koi kaam nahi. So it's very interesting, because unless one takes responsibility, things don't change to you. So when you heard about Daiva, he said, oh, I'm not responsible, so why should I do anything about it? So therefore, what people tell you many times when we go through what we go through suffering, some of the people come and give us sympathy waves. And we become very pacified by that. A drug is given to us. And one of the character of Dhritarashtra was, he never wanted solution, he wanted sympathy. Because solution requires action. No, his whole philosophy was that, don't tell me I'm very weak, how can I function? You are telling me all is so difficult task, I'm an ordinary person, so therefore don't tell me what to do. You do for me, you sympathize with me. Give me your shoulders where I can place my head and feel very comforted. Therefore, be aware of a teacher who is kind to you, but is telling you something which is right. He is making you live in this world, but not making you grow in this world. It's very interesting. Therefore, Prabhupada said, a teacher who does not chastise you means you don't have a teacher. If a teacher does not discipline you, that means you don't have a teacher. If you have a parents, they don't chastise you, only pamper you, that means you don't have a parents. Because love and pampering, they are completely different from each other. But we think pampering is synonymous to love. So what Vyasdev did was right, because the very thing is that Dhritarashtra has to live. If he does not live, he will not take any action. Dying is not a solution. Like we see, instantly, our leader worked very hard, but it was the responsibility of the local leaders. I will not name the party, right? Just see how shamelessly people support an incompetent person to such an extent and make him miserably, can you imagine? Unless he's so dumb when he sleeps in the night, because somebody said, when you sleep in the night, in the privacy of your heart, you don't have respect for yourself, because you know the black side of your life. If you can sleep comfortably, Being honest, yes, this is the part of my life which I need to deal with it. Then what will happen? You have a chance to grow. But here, large number of people, including some people who are good at marketing, right? Prabhupada said, when a lie is spoken for a long time to the large number of people and louder, then that very lie is lie only, but that will be taken as greatest of the truth. Are now he's changing. There is a confidence in his speech. Huh? Right. Just see how Mahabharata is so relevant. Mahabharata is so correct. In the Mahabharata, it is not about you or me. It's about competency. It's about competency. Like many times we see this. Where people are involved, my person, again Dhritarashtra, my person has to take over. He should be the next legacy. Whether my person is competent or not does not matter. Because he's a my person, therefore he should take over. That's a Dhritarashtra mentality. What does it do? He destroys your legacy and destroys your good name also. So very, very Dhritarashtra, he did not take a responsibility. He continued to live a shameless life for 18 years. Not one day, not 2 days, not 3 days. For 18 years. Can you imagine if you have lost 100 sons and your heart does not break only? There is no heart attack. There is no heart failure. There is no brain hemorrhage. And when Vidura came, after many, many days or years, he came to Dhritarashtra and he gave a heavy dose. He said, you are like a dog. You are eating food thrown by Bhima from a distance. Bhima would throw food to him from a distance. Why was he doing like that? Some people say Bhima is too much, it's too harsh. And others say Bhima was afraid. Fir se pakad liya to. He has the power, he has the angle to crush me again. After speaking that harsh language, where the body has become incapacitated, nothing was there to do good for others when it did not do anything good for itself. Then Dhritarashtra, along with Gandhari, Vidura, and that great lady Kunti, who never experienced any physical happiness in her life. She had no reason to walk with them. She had her sons ruling the kingdom very nicely, but she decided, I'm also going with them. That great Kunti could have stayed there, and she had all the right to stay with her sons. It was scripturally also right. But she decided to go with them, to give them a company of an enlightenment. And in that forest fire, Dhritarashtra, the forest fire was not happened because he created the fire. Sati created the fire within her own body. But this forest fire took place, and Dhritarashtra was lamenting then also. And the difference was Kunti also was burned in that forest fire, but she saw Agni Narayan in that fire. Agni is also Narayan. How you die, that is not important unless you are a big yogi, focusing on, dying. If you're practicing Ashtanga Yoga, then there is a chances of controlling your day, time, when to die. But if you're living a regular life, so then what happens? How you die, there is no guarantee. Death does not define your destination. Somebody may die instantly on the spot. We'll say, wow, what a death. And somebody may die suffering so long, and we say, what a miserable death. No. What was their thought process when they are dying? What was their consciousness in the this one author writes about when some of the Jews were dying. He was part of that, um, you know, whatever happened in Germany. So he said some of these people who are dying, they were dying with dignity. And those who were killing, they were sounding extremely fearful. उनके अंदर डर था. But those who are dying, they were dying with dignity. They realized we have nothing else now to look forward, but let us die with dignity at least. Raise our head, offer our prayers to God, and quit this body. They were able to do that. So therefore, as Prabhupada explained, Dhritarashtra did not achieve perfection. And one Vaishnava saint said, Dhritarashtra is dead, but is risen in everybody's heart. व्यक्ति मर गया है, परंतु व्यक्तित्व सबके हृदय में फिर से आकर खड़ा हुआ है, और उसको भगाना, नो, ट्रांसफॉर्मिंग धृतराष्ट्र into real Rashtra become the responsibility of the living entities with the help of Guru, the scriptures, and the association of people who are practicing spirituality. So that is the story we learn from Dhritarashtra. I own everything becomes I own nothing. Nothing. I lose my body also in the forest fire. Hare Krishna. So we will stop here and take the next one. That is a legacy continued. That is Duryodhana. One of the difference between Duryodhana and Dhritarashtra is Dhritarashtra would engage others to perform what he wanted to perform because of his blindness. He used weakness as a tool to be wicked. But now Duryodhana's one character was that he could never express his limitation to anyone. He couldn't say, I'm feeling very sad. He couldn't say that I feel fearful. Like I always say in the Bhagavad Gita first chapter, there are 3 lamentations. The first lamentation is the lamentation of Dhritarashtra. Second lamentation is the lamentation of Duryodhana. And the third lamentation is the lamentation of Arjuna. In the very first chapter, observing the army, all 3 are observing. Again, they are looking at the rice. Duryodhana is looking, Dhritarashtra is looking, and Arjuna is looking. Dhritarashtra is saying, why this rice is here? I am confused about it. Can I enjoy this rice without cleaning? Cleaning is a difficult task. It's a rice from the ration. A lot of stones, a lot of pebbles are there. He says, I can't clean it. So then people have to sympathize, what can you do? Rice is like this only, 50% rice, 50% pebbles. He wants sympathy. But Duryodhana, when he sees the rice, he realizes, this rice is useless. I can't use it for anything, but what can I do now? I can't tell it to people. On the battlefield of Kurukshetra, the dilemma for Duryodhana is so amazing. He has a greater army than the Pandavas. 4 Akshohini Sainya. It's not a small. When we say 7 and 11, it's not 7 and 11. The number, the 7 and 11, there is a large difference between 7 and 11. It goes in millions and millions. That's a difference. And there is one army which was controlled by Duryodhana, which was given by Krishna. It was the army of the Yadavas called as Gopas. And every Gopa was as powerful as Krishna. But that was in the custody of Duryodhana. From the army perspective, it was so powerful, but he knew the reality of it. What is it? Bhishma told Duryodhana, I will not kill the Pandavas. I will not kill the Pandavas. So what is the point in fighting? You are not coming for a talent show, right? In talent show, it's fascinating for people, but it's not transforming. When a shooting star, when he shoots, hitting the bullseye, there is no bullet coming from the opposite direction. It is one-sided. There is no fear of losing your life. There is a fear of losing a medal. So Duryodhan realized that Bhishma is fighting for me, but he makes it very clear that I will not kill the Pandavas. But the war is fought only with one intention of killing the Pandavas. The army is detail. So what he becomes? Bhishma becomes irrelevant. And secondly, Bhishma also had said, as long as Karna is on the battlefield, if Karna comes, I will not fight. And Karna also said, I will not fight as long as Bhishma lives. In fight, there was a dissension amongst them. And second, Dronacharya told Duryodhan, he said, I can't kill the Pandavas. And especially with Arjuna, there will always be a tie. And that was his greatest fear, Arjun. And Karna, who was the greatest friend of Duryodhan, whom he was depending so much. Now Mahabharata does not mention whether Duryodhan knew about his vows to Kunti. Nobody has mentioned, but the reality was there. What did he say? Kunti never asked. Kunti never asked from Karna, please spare my 4 children. This is the book, Mahabharata, which is not Mahabharata. People have concocted so many stories, making Kunti. We will deal with Karna on the day when he comes. Or you can read the book also, Karna on trial. So then, what did Karna say? He said, I will not kill 4 Pandavas. I will spare them. Actually, they spared him. Satyaki was about to kill him. Bhima was about to kill him. Even Yudhishthir was about to kill him. I am speaking from Vyasa's Mahabharata. They said, no. But because Arjuna has taken a vow that we will not kill, after that he spared the Pandavas. But the point is, he said, I will not kill 4 of them. Right. So when you have a greatest of your generals, General Bhishma, General Drona and General Karna, and they have already made it very clear to Duryodhan that we are not going to kill any of the Pandavas. What is the point in fighting the battle? So that was his dilemma. But the problem was Duryodhan could never express his limitations. Sometimes people are so tough, they don't have the human side. रोते नहीं है, आंखों से अश्रु धारा बोलते. Bringing tears from our eyes is a sign of weakness. It is not sign of weakness. It's a sign of releasing the pain. The reason why many times men have more heart failure, because they act tough even though they are not at all tough. If you can't cry in public, cry privately at least. Let the tears roll from your eyes, which Duryodhan could never do that. And therefore, he could never seek anybody's advice. And on the other hand, Arjuna did go through what he went through. There was a lamentation seeing Bhishma, Drona, Kripacharya, but he had the courage. He had the great courage to seek guidance from Krishna, knowing very well he will not cheat me. Because when you go to seek guidance from people, there is no guarantee that the problem is there, and the guidance could be more problematic than the solution, than the problem, sorry. You don't have the guarantee. It's like a gambling. But Arjuna took that risk and contemplated. It took many days for him to implement. It took 10 days for Arjuna to implement to shoot Bhishma. First day he did not fight well. Second day he fought well. third day again he became very despondent. Krishna had to rush. It is not that after hearing the Bhagavad Gita, instantly Arjuna said, Krishna, I understood everything now. Nasto moha smrutir labdva. Yes, he said that. But to implementation did not happen haphazardly and abruptly. It took time, reflection, action. Again talking to Krishna on the 10th day with great reluctancy, he was able to shoot Bhishma without losing his relationship to Bhishma Dev. So Duryodhan means what? It is not Duryodhan means, it's a bad name. Somebody said, all the names of Kauravas sound very, very bad. Dushyasan. Dushyasan means what? Difficult to deal with his governance. Duryodhan means what? Very difficult to conquer in the battle. Odhana, Duryodhana. Odhana means one who can fight with valor. So Duryodhan, the people asked this question, was Duryodhan good in anything? Or he was the original Pappu? Huh? But if you study Duryodhan cannot be compared. There was a joke or some comparison made by people. That's an insult to Duryodhan. And then it is like, trying to make him more qualified. Duryodhan, if you study, was very focused. A great concentration he had. And he was favorite of Lord Balramji. There is one devotee's name. His name is Duryodhan Guru Das. There is a name like that. Now if you study the Mahabharata, during the last final battle between Bhima and Arjun, Bhima and Duryodhan, Arjun raised this question. He had confidence in Krishna, he had confidence in Bhima, but again there was a question raised by Arjun. Because the true warriors do not take it for granted. They don't say, oh, Krishna is there with me, so therefore I can be lazy. Taking shelter of Krishna does not make you lazy and neglectful. Taking shelter of Krishna makes you more alert. And one principle of being alert means what? Let me minimize the burden on Krishna and take the responsibility. I am here to serve Krishna. मुझे समर्थ रामदास बनना है, मुझे षंड रामदास नहीं बनना है. I want to be a competent Ramdas or Krishnadas, not incompetent, stupid Ramdas. Saying that Krishna, Ram, you do everything for me, I am useless. You say you are useless, but don't become useless. No? So Krishna, when Arjuna asked this, he told, look, my dear Arjun, he said, someone is dying. He said, never fight them neglectfully. Because they have nothing to lose. That is the first thing Krishna told. Many times in the Mahabharata, in the war strategy, Bhishma tells Yudhishthira Maharaj, he said, never chase a warrior who is losing. Don't go far to chase them, because once they realize that I'm about to lose my life, when they turn back, when they attack you, there is a less chance of your survival. Because you want to win and rule, they have nothing to rule. They only have their last breath to survive. He said, therefore they fight very fiercely. So don't fight a dying warrior. Don't challenge him in a duel. So he said, he's a dying warrior. For Duryodhan there is nothing to lose. Therefore he will fight very fiercely. And second, Krishna said, he said, my dear Arjun, Krishna is very, very realistic. He does not give a blind and emotional answer. Since Bhima is my devotee, Arjun, don't worry. He is always good. A devotee of Krishna has all the good qualities, including the skill. You don't go to an ordinary doctor who's chanting 16 rounds for your heart surgery. You go to a qualified doctor, it does not matter whether he is a devotee or not, because he will not change your heart's feelings, but he will skillfully deal with it. Simple principle. You don't sit in a person who is driving a car devotionally, very, very sincere, but he has learned car driving yesterday and is planning to drive you in the Himalayan mountains. And he doesn't say, Prabhu, I'm a devotee, you should use a devotee driver instead of a non-devotee driver. No, you say, yes, your intentions are very good to drive me, but I'll go mad. So better I have someone who is skillfully driving, sit in his chariot. You don't become clean just by chanting Hare Krishna unless you brush your teeth. Now just see, Krishna is so clear in his understanding. He does not bring the principle of Arjuna and Bhima's connection to him as a devotee. They are devotee, that is expected, that is accepted fact. That is not supposed to be debated. What is supposed to be debated in regards to preparation? I always say this, those who come to the temple kitchen to cook for the Lord but never cooked in their families, good luck, Krishna. Huh? You can't say that they have a heart of devotee. No, heart of a devotee also means preparation for cooking for the Lord. पहले अपने घर पे अपने परिवार के लिए बनाओ. Let them become आपका बलि का बकरा. No? Then you come to Krishna. If we are actual devotees, we understand that. Therefore, what does Krishna say in the Gita? He says, Buddha Bhava Samanvita. Bhakti is the combination of intellect and feeling. Bhakti is a combination of preparation and feeling. Then our service becomes, appreciated by the people. It does not create much inconvenience. So Krishna told, for Bhima, for 12 years, 13 years, there is no practice. 12 saal, running from one forest to another forest. He couldn't carry his mace, only his feet. He maintained his power, but there was no practice. And he said, Duryodhan always practiced every day without fail. So therefore Krishna said, it is not easy to fight him. It is not possible to defeat him unless we use the principle of utility is the principle for winning the war. So Arjuna did not question Krishna, how is it possible? He's your devotee, how can he? So Duryodhan's goodness is also described by Krishna. The Vedanta, the Vedic literatures, sometimes people say Vyasdev is only talking about the victors. No, Vyasdev also talks about the good of the bad people also. If they have any good, he just displays it as it is. There is no hesitation to say that uske paas koi acha gun nahi tha. No, he writes about it. But again, we discussed yesterday also, Dhritarashtra was kind of an unwanted child. But with Duryodhan, what happened was, how was he born? It was not that he was not wanted. He was wanted earlier than the time. Sometime nowadays people do cesarean according to right auspicious muhurta. Thinking that if my child is appearing on this point, auspicious, then it is good. I was talking to actually a deep astrologer. He said, with cesarean, you cannot consider that as a birth time. That is manipulated. He said, then the chart cannot be made upon their birth, because birth and death ultimately should not be within the control of human being. So therefore you cannot do that. So Gandhari in one sense had a cesarean baby. When she heard, we will discuss about Gandhari, very, very big tragedy about her life. When she heard the news of Yudhishthira Maharaj's birth through Kunti, and she was carrying her baby for a long time, but not right time for her. So when she heard the news, what happened? Abruptly, she hit her belly. And instead of child coming, a pound of flesh came out. So that striking of belly is not simply physical hit. It was her envy. A small time envy, but at the wrong time. उसका परिणाम क्या हो गया? Even though that pound of flesh was touched by Vyasadeva, when people called Vyasadeva for emergency in getting people's life, it did not benefit anybody. It is not Vyasadeva's fault. They did not utilize the connection of Vyasadeva, whether it is Dhritarashtra, whether it is, Pandu Maharaj. The maid servant in the Kuru family, she worshipped Vyasadeva so nicely, therefore Vidura was born. And therefore Vyasadeva in the Mahabharata says, one of the character, the flag of the Mahabharata has got 6 principles. And one of that principle is glorifying Vidura's, ability to see the future and act according to that also. No, he was able to do that. So because of that envy, the 100 children appeared through different method. We should not speak about it. That will be called as blind following. Recently somebody wrote an article in the newspaper, a sarcastic article, because one chief minister made something, about there was an internet during Mahabharata time. Right. Now what he said, how he said, why he said, give him a chance to explain about what he said. Benefit of doubt you can give it to, a stupid politician, but you can't give it to him. So somebody wrote the article basically, smashing everything what India has to contribute. When we say Sanskrit literature is not only connected to poetry. There is a deep science also. Right. And if you study that deep science, in the Mahabharata, in the Ramayana, the astrology, the astronomy, the metallurgy, the Ayurveda. Right. People sitting in Kerala are able to tell what is there in your land exactly. Recently it happened. They are able to tell what is there in your land, right? He is sitting in Kerala and nobody sent him a WhatsApp message. First of all, it doesn't operate also. He is telling everything, what is there, which space, what's happening, what is here. Everything was able to say exactly. Not only what is there in the land, but going much greater details. But if you do not have the humility to submissively come and study them and say, all what is coming from Sanskrit literature is blind, and whatever is coming from the Western world is all good. Therefore, a blind following means what? Accepting anything blindly and rejecting anything blindly is nothing but blind following. So that is the point. But somehow there is an arrogance. Like there are, we see, like one teacher recently was telling, if you write in a Hindi in an international school, if you sound ignorant about Indian children only, if you sound ignorant, that is a sign of you very progressive. Right. Oh, what is this? As if they are coming from some, alien, not even America, not even Europe, somewhere from heavenly planets. If you sound ignorant about Indian culture, that is a sign of you being very elite. If you say, yeah, I know Sugriv, oh, that means you are very primitive, huh? You know Ramayana, you know Vali, Sugriv, all these things, all these things. If you know about that, that means you are primitive. If you show ignorance about anything Indian, that is sign of wow. You are so progressive. You are so liberal in your thought process. And if you condemn whatever is in the scripture, then you are more intellectually advanced. Can you imagine what a stupid logic is that? So therefore, here Vasudev's involvement in bringing the Kauravas, we will not get into all the details because Mahabharata is not talking about technicalities about how you are born. It doesn't matter how you are born, how you die, but it matters how did you live. So we also don't spend much time about, it was a test tube baby, original test. That is not the point of the Mahabharata. The point of the Mahabharata is, however you are born, whoever is responsible for your birth, whether it is Parshuram, whether it is Vyasdev, whether it is Hiranyakashipu, whether it is Dhritarashtra, that is not the principle. The principle is, what are you doing with your life? So, spoiled not because of lack of love and attention, but by too much of it. If you study Duryodhana's character, how much he was pampered by Dhritarashtra when he came from Hastina, from Indraprastha after the Rajasuya sacrifice was over. And now the Rajasuya sacrifice caused such a pain in the heart of Duryodhana. What Krishna did was, because the Kurus said, since we are part of the Pandavas family, we are not giving tributary to the Pandavas. Because hamare hi parivar ke. Everybody else was paying, but the Kauravas did not pay. They wanted a responsibility to show off that hamara hi rajya hai. So they wanted responsibility. So different people were given different responsibilities. Karna was given a responsibility of giving charity. As long as it does not belong to him. Kitna bhi de sakte ho. He was given that responsibility of giving charity. Different. And Krishna told Yudhishthira Maharaj, give the responsibility to Duryodhana of collecting all the gift items which come to the Pandavas. Usse kya hoga? No, Krishna is giving a chance. Learn the art of appreciation or you suffer the envy. He gave so many services to different people. And what did Krishna take the service? He said, I will wash the feet of every important sages who come to the palace. Yudhishthira Maharaj said, why you do like this? He said, you don't know the ego of the sages. If you go to Kumbh Mela, sometimes those who are supposed to exhibit greatest of humility, that is the beauty of material world. The duality of the world is so great. Sometimes the politicians are truly humble because otherwise they can't form a government. Truly humble. You can't actually be humble like them. They can go to their worst enemy and fall at his feet. Lalu Prasad and Nitish Kumar, they became friends. Now something is going to happen in Karnataka also, as I said, politically alert. They will come together and they'll actually exhibit humility. But if you have some self-righteousness, you said, I can't go to that person. भूखा रहूंगा लेकिन नहीं जाऊंगा. आधा रोटी खा लूंगा लेकिन मुझे नहीं चाहिए. So sadhus, because they live very self-righteous life, so there is a tendency to become very egoistic. In the Bhagavatam 11th canto, Krishna spoke this to all the devatas when the devatas spoke. Nar Narayan Rishis. Indra wanted to tempt Nar Narayan Rishi, especially Lord Narayan. So he created all these big damsels they came to tempt. So Lord Narayan created a Urvashi from his thighs. Urvashi came, and compared to what she was, all other Ramba, Menaka, Gratichi, all these people were like, very ordinary. And what the Devata said, they said, my dear Lord, he said, many people cross the ocean of Kama but drown in the puddle of anger. No, what an apt glorification of the Lord. He said, but you, Krishna, he said, you are taking us very sportively. अरे जाओ, no problem. आप आए मुझे tempt करने के लिए, मैं आपको gift देके भेज देता हूँ. Take this gift. Right. So Krishna told the Pandavas, if appropriate treatment is not given to these sages, they might curse the entire sacrifice. So in my taking care of them, you are safe. And I also love to take care of humble people, devotees also. I'll wash their feet. Another Vaishnavacharya, Madhvacharya explains, not only Krishna was washing the feet of the sages, but after they would eat their bhojan, whatever, he would take all the leftover plates. So just imagine Krishna is like this and he has to deal with Duryodhana, who has got limitless arrogance. So he is spoiled, and here Bhima and Duryodhana were born on Krishna Trayodashi, Makha Nakshatra. उनका चार्ट दोनों का सेम था. Sometimes we become so focused on chart. What's your Rashi? Based upon that we start saying, oh, this is my character. But even though they are born on the same kind of nakshatra, but what was the problem? Upbringing. The difference was, Gandhari struck her belly with envy. When Bhima was supposed to be born, Kunti asked her husband Pandu Maharaj, whom should I invoke? Very interesting. So, Pandu Maharaj said, you have invoked Dharma. Yudhishthira Maharaj you have invoked. But the point is, for Dharma to grow, there has to be power. Otherwise, Dharma remains in the book. The narrative of the country, narrative of any civilization becomes very strong based upon their artha. Therefore, we discussed in the Ramayana Katha, Ram told Bharat, he said, my dear Bharat, prosperity and dharma should be integrated. If the prosperity and dharma is not integrated, then what will happen? However good you are, your continuous suffering will make you question the entire narratives of your culture. If you go to some of the remotest of the villages and you speak them this philosophy, we are able to sit and hear the philosophy because almost everyone have no trouble for the next meal, whether in the temple or in the home. It is not a problem. Therefore, there are many people, they say, what are you sitting and discussing the philosophy? There are hundreds and thousands of people, they're starving without even water. Forget about drinking, they don't have water to even bathe. I always tell this. When I was in Detroit 2-3 years back, I was speaking to young children, Indian kids, American raised confused desis. No? So I was telling them about trying to connect them with their culture. I was talking about poverty, I was talking about prosperity, the disparity. So I was talking about a drought in Marathwada. When I was there that time, there was a drought in Marathwada. And I read an article where children or people did not have a water after responding to the call of nature. They would use mud soil. I was telling them to this. And one of the students, he said, why not use a tissue paper? Huh? Just see, when you're out of context, your inquisitiveness, your curiosity is also very stupid. It's innocent, but still, because there is no context. So therefore, it is very important. Bhima was born with the tapasya of Kunti to support dharma, to live, to breathe, to become very strong. Therefore, Prabhupada also said, if I live in a forest, who will come to me to hear Krishna conscious philosophy? If you are not responsible citizen, then nobody will come to you whatever big philosophy you have. No, so therefore dharma and artha has to be connected. So that was the background of the Pandavas, but Duryodhana was born with a pain, a fear, a threat, a comparison. He had the good qualities, but unfortunately the bad completely consumed him. He had the determination to practice every day, to do the same thing. Sometimes most people love to play but not practice. A professional sports, if you see, there is more practice and less play. And if you actually want to enjoy play, don't practice, go and play, because we only have 1 hour to play. When we used to play, none of us, we wanted to be a professional player, because first of all, the parents did not agree. Said play, go and work, study. Right. There was a famous cricketer. Now, the younger people will not know. His name was Irupalli Prasanna. Older people will know. He was the same size as Bansidhar Prabhu. So he was a spinner. He joined Indian team when he was 19-year-old, but he was studying engineering. After playing few matches, the parents said, "Beta, padhai karna padega." So next 4 years, can you imagine being part of an Indian team? He quit and he went back to study, because he was a South Indian from Mysore. Studying is more important than anything else. He went and studied for 4 years. They said, whether you get your place in the team, it doesn't matter, but you need to be educated. So when he became an engineer, then somebody, superior people came and they tried to convince the parents, let him go and play. He's playing for India. I said, whatever India doesn't matter. What matters is he should be educated. Right. So Duryodhana had great determination to do the same thing again and again. Never took a rest. Can you imagine Mace fighting every day, practicing, boring? But he did that. So there was good to Duryodhana in regards to skill development. But in regards to character, the character was zero. He had the skill of purchasing people. Can you imagine? If today Duryodhana was available, immediately he was sent to Bangalore. Whichever party. Because he had the capacity to purchase Bhishma. They say this, he had a capacity to purchase Drona. He had the capacity to purchase Kripacharya. He had the capacity to change Shalya at the last moment. He purchased him, who was the uncle of the Pandavas. What to speak of that? He comes to Krishna in Dwarka and he convinces Krishna. Of course, Krishna agrees to him. He said, just like you have relationship with Arjuna, you also have a relationship with me. What was Arjuna's relationship with Krishna and what was Duryodhana's relationship with Krishna? Arjuna had married Krishna's sister. Arjuna's mother and Krishna's father were brothers and sisters. But Duryodhana's daughter had married to Krishna's son. Very, very close relationship. And he came and he was able to convince Krishna to get the entire army of the Yadavas. Except Satyaki, Pradyumna did not take part in the war. Charana, Samba, all these people did not take part in war. But Kritavarma was one of the greatest warrior of the Yadu dynasty, was fighting on behalf of the Kauravas. So we can't underestimate the power, the skill, the strategy, the ability of Duryodhana, as good as Ravan. When Hanumanji saw Ravan first time, when Lord Ram saw Ravan first time, they said, wow, what a power, what a greatness. Only thing what they lack is the foundation of Dharma. So none of these people were incompetent idiots. But only thing their competency was misplaced and used for the wrong reason, and therefore when determination became slowly what? Stubbornness. Therefore duality. None of the qualities in this world are purely unadulterated. Every quality is flavored with opposite. And why Duryodhan had a trouble? If you study, Duryodhan grew up in the palace for 13 years. And the Pandavas were not there. He never experienced a living with difference. He never experienced living with diversity. He was the king in one sense. When a child is raised, where all the time child wins the debate with the parents, with his friend. So what happens? They fail to handle diversities. So Duryodhan for 13 years, he had no clue about the Pandavas' growth in the forest. He had never seen them, how they are growing. He must have heard, there are my cousins, and they are growing in the jungle. So how can a person growing in a jungle be more competent than me? So his identity was established by comparing himself with the Pandavas, which gave rise to envy. When they came to Hastinapur, because they were already trained for 13 years in the jungle, they were not climbing like monkeys, only eating fruits and apples. From very beginning they got training by Kunti. And envy connected to a royal family with unlimited resources gave rise to arrogance. If you're a small time, you become envy of your jhopadi. You become envy of your, small Chinese-made smartphone. The impact is the same in regards to personal feeling, but the impact in regards to your surrounding is very minuscule. Now that was the difference between Dhritarashtra and Duryodhan. Dhritarashtra was envious. He had the resources, but he did not have the facility to apply the resources on his own. He had to be helped by somebody else. But Duryodhan had that. Envy and arrogance resulted in him feeling threatened and simultaneously violent. Now just see the step. He felt threatened by the skills of Arjuna's archery and Yudhishthira's ruling power. Therefore, he arrogantly wanted to destroy them. Hankered for more honor than what befitted his age, position and power. So therefore, this is the envy. Comparison caused arrogance because of the resources. Threatened by the Pandavas, wanted to destroy them, and did everything to destroy the Pandavas. So, this question is raised by many people. They talk, if you're talking about technical realities, why not Duryodhan be a next king instead of Yudhishthira Maharaj? Because biologically he was a son of Gandhari, but the Pandavas were not biological son of Pandu Maharaj. No, Pandu did not give birth to the Pandavas. It was some Devatas. And by technical reality, Dhritarashtra was the oldest son. Pandu was younger. Just because he was blind, the kingship was given to Pandu. But now because Dhritarashtra's son is grown up, he is actually the son of the Kurukul. So why not he become the king? Now this question is raised, but this solves the problem where people accuse the Indian monarchical system is based upon birth. But that is not true. We discussed yesterday, the very first Dushyanta Maharaj's son Bharat, when he saw that his sons were not qualified, he had the concept of adoption and placing somebody else. So many times this was accepted, and therefore during the 1857 first India's independence struggle, what was naturally followed in India of adopting a qualified person and making him the king was questioned by the Britishers. One of the reasons why Jhansi Rani, revolted against them, because of this reason only. When she adopted, it's her right. Choosing somebody else as her son, that was questioned by the Britishers. They said this is not possible, which was happening since thousands of years. Therefore, Chanakya Pandit writes based upon Vedic literature, the son, the next king should be born from a very, very high royal family and good character. But if he is born in that family but does not have a good character, then you choose the next part. The person with good character, even if he is not born from that family, or he could be the younger one also. Therefore, Lord Ram did not object Bharat being a king. He could have used the role and said, how can you make Bharat as a king because he's junior to me? Bharat objected, how can I be the king when Ram is existing? Because Bharat was qualified and there was no such hard and fast rules. Only the oldest son has to be the king of the kingdom. So technically also is not correct that Duryodhan is entitled to the kingship. And secondly, Duryodhan was not qualified to be a king because of his character problem. I discussed it during the Rajasuya sacrifice, at seeing the majesty of Arjuna's weapons. Duryodhana told his father, seeing their grand sacrifice, I am burning day and night. I am drying up like a shrunken pond in the hot summer season. Envy is disadvantageous to both the parties, the envied and the envying. The end result was losses for both the sides. Some soldier, some army officer told me, we had taken them to some exhibition and our children were asking, can India defeat China? He said, that does not matter. He said, listen, he said, if China wins, but they lose the face. They may not lose their head, but we will cut their nose, cut their ear. That means he was saying that we will also cause limitless trouble to them. He said, ultimately, war is not beneficial to both of the countries. But what can you do? He said, what can you do? He said, there is no other choice other than spending on the defense sector. So that causes both loss to both the side. Duryodhana was unprepared when the Pandavas first time came to Hastinapur. He was already 13-year-old and could not handle their sudden arrival. That is not the problem of the Pandavas. You have to learn. And the first one, very interesting, when Duryodhana came back to his father after the Rajasuya sacrifice, he said, I am burning, there is a fever. Dhritarashtra felt actually he has got 103 fever only. The fear of envy was there. He said, my dear father, I cannot sleep after seeing. And he explains what he all saw. He said, how much gift they were receiving. He talks about different kings bringing them gifts. And he tells, how much people are taking food. He said, after thousands of people number, he says, they would blow the conch. That means this number of people have completed their eating. He said the conch was being blown every minute. So many people are taking food. He said, my dear father, he said, I cannot survive after seeing what I saw. And Dhritarashtra told him, my dear son, I have given you everything. Nice palaces, nice women to enjoy, for you to go everywhere. What else do you want? This is what Dhritarashtra is asking. He never talked to him a philosophy. He is talking what I have given you so much. And you know what Duryodhana said? This is the modern economic policy. He said, my dear father, he said, when you become satisfied, that is the beginning of not growing in economical development. He said, only unsatisfied people keep growing in economic development. Just see, 5,000 years ago, the biggest capitalist, Duryodhan said, he said, if I am satisfied, he said, I don't grow. And he makes this statement, dissatisfaction is the sign of growth. And I am dissatisfied to see Pandavas' growth, and I want all their prosperity. So one thing is to become envious of their resources. You take away the resources. But Duryodhan was envious of the resources plus the Pandavas. Therefore, not only wanted to take their wealth, but he also wanted to kill them. It is one thing you take away their property. But here not only wanted to take away their property, but he was continuously planning, scheming to destroy the Pandavas. And the first scheme, which is not discussed very much, he sent certain snakes to be bitten against the Pandavas. And the next is feeding the poison to Bhima. And next thing is trying to burn them in the house of lac. And eventually he was trying to destroy them through gambling match. And in gambling match was the greatest assault. When the terrorists, they try and fail. What do? Now they go for the greatest assault. And what was this assault? Not only taking away their property. In fact, Arjuna warns Bhima. The greatest assault Duryodhan did was take away their property and take away the confidence of the Pandavas. If we can take away their confidence in public place by destroying their honor, they will never rise back. That's what, when a civilization takes away the confidence of other people, this is the psychology of human being, there is a mental slavery. What do? We start glorifying the very people who raped you. Somebody sent me a small video clip of a debate about one very, sophisticated, public speaker. He is saying, forgetting everything else, he is saying, if the Mughals were not here, we would not get tandoori. In a public space, seriously is talking. And he's saying, if the British were not there, there would be no railway. Yes, talk about that if you want to talk, but talk also about the atrocities. Let there be balance between the two. But why? Because you don't want to stand on your own feet. Because if you have to stand on your own feet, then you have to explain your identity. This is my background. But if you deny that identity, some other artificially try to say, actually this is my identity. Accidentally I am born here. I feel myself more American than an Indian. I feel more European than Indian. What is it? It is nothing but not willing to accept the realities. Yes, you could be a defeated country, but you are not a destroyed country. You could be a broken person, but you are not finished person. You may have lost many times, like when people are very sick. When you go to them, there is a tendency, I don't want to survive. Can you imagine other day, one of the topmost cop of Mumbai, he shot himself in the mouth. So there was a circulation where some of these top officers from IPS, IS officer, one devotee is into that department. He sent me a article written by one officer sympathizing with him, quoting the scripture. He said, Lord Ram, Lakshman, Lord Ram also left his body committing suicide. Then he quoted the example of Gyandev. Gyandev Maharaj, at the time of 17-year-old, he took Jivan Samadhi. So it is there in the scripture. Then he quoted the example of Jain monks. No, they also quit body. And so therefore he said, this is the daring act of an officer, hoping that I don't want to be burdened to my family and people, therefore I'm quitting the body. He said, therefore this is as good as the departure of these people. So this devotee said, Prabhuji, I have written this reply. What do you think? I said, the point is you can't deny these stories. These are the facts. But you just see how he's connecting it wrongly. I said, I can give more examples. In the Garuda Purana, there is a concept of Nirashan. When Bharat sat for Nirashan, he said, Ram, if you don't come to us, Ayodhya, I will sit till death. And he quoted a scripture. And what did Lord Ram say? He said, you are not an old man, you are not a Vanaprastha, you are, full of vitality. You can't do this. It is a sin. It's a murder. In the Bhagavatam, Rukmini tells Krishna through her letter, I am willing to lay down my life hundreds of times if I can get you. Walking towards northern direction in the scripture, you walk till you fall. It is there. Pandavas walked. They were walking, and what happened? First Draupadi fell down. And nobody stopped. Call the ambulance. Helicopter, no. She fell down. They kept on walking. Then Nakul, then Sahadev, then Arjun, then Bhima. Only Yudhishthira went. So walking towards Uttar Disha, like Kunti, Gandhari, they basically burned to death. Garuda Puran speaks about this. I said, these stories are there, but see the consciousness behind. In what context are they doing? The context of these people, they have done with their life. They are not dying because of disease. They are not frustrated with disease. Bhishma Deva was lying on the battlefield of Kurukshetra till he completed the responsibility. Therefore, comparing the death of this officer with all the character of the scripture is too much trying to see the connection between the two. In fact, whatever notes, it was sad. It was very sad. Some other, he had received few books. He had read Journey Home. And one of the devotees very close to that family that told me about 1.5 years back. I'm trying to arrange a meeting so that he can come and hear the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. But some other, that never happened. No? A tough cough externally, but slowly what happened? He was giving up his life because of frustration, anger. But therefore, keep trying. Even if you are dying, if you try to live, that is not sin. And you give up, you said, I want to die now. That is not liberation. That is also connected to escapism only. So therefore, he wanted to destroy the Pandavas' confidence, create dissension among the Pandavas. But he failed because Pandavas were guided properly. Desired the destruction of their talents and power, he wanted to destroy them. Greed is the sin of capitalism. Envy is the sin of socialism. It's a very interesting that both, if you study socialism, it's about equality of poverty. And what is capitalism? Disparity of resources. Both systems are nowhere close to the Varnashram system. A Varnashram system is very close to cooperative life. Envy with position leads to arrogance. What happened? He became a son of a caretaker king. He did not get the kingdom rightfully, but it was, taken away by forcefully. Bereft of actual mentors. Dhritarashtra never appointed right mentors. He only got the skill. We discussed that yesterday. And whenever teachers came to teach him, one time he called Maitreya Rishi. We'll discuss that. When Maitreya Rishi came, he told, teach my son, he's not learning his lesson. Because Maitreya Rishi came bringing the progress of the Pandavas even in the forest. They are prospering. The forest became a place for them to learn. They acquired all their divine weapons in the forest. They acquired the skill of gambling in the forest. Yudhishthira Maharaj, if he had invited again by Duryodhana and party, he could defeat easily. That nobody knew. Right. He learned the art of, numbering how many soldiers are in the battlefield. So many things Pandavas learned even in the forest because they never lost their hope. But Duryodhana was pampered without a caretaker. So when Maitreya Rishi came, what did Duryodhana do? Duryodhana sat next to Maitreya Rishi. Therefore, do not bring your children forcefully when they don't want to hear about Krishna consciousness. अरे सुनाओ ना इसको थोड़ा बदल जाएगा. If they are young children to hear the stories, it is okay. But they're 18, 19-year-old, चेन लगा कर बांध कर उसको पकड़ कर लेकर आते हो उनके पास सुनो. Yeah, bring them to Govindas to eat, but not for philosophy, because they will hear and nothing will go inside unless they want to strike a conversation. No? So when Duryodhana was brought by Dhritarashtra, and how it was very impulsive, fearing the Pandavas, अरे इसको सुधारो, ऐसा नहीं सुधर सकता. Sometimes it happens, oh, their children have taken initiation, my children also should take. And it is about their and your children. It is between guru and the disciple. They have to be ready. Like, who was that? Picasso, right? His mother told him, if you want to be a soldier, you have to be a general. And you have to be a monk, you should be a pope. He said, I ended up becoming a painter. Rather than following his mother's stupid ambition, to say that you want to be a soldier, if he wants to be, that's okay. But hoping that he has to become a general only, that is not correct. So, caretaker, he was not there. When he was sitting and talking to Maitreya, Maitreya did not want to speak. But Dhritarashtra insisted as the king. As an etiquette, he started speaking to Duryodhana. And what Duryodhana was doing? A typical neglectful, no interest, envy, anger, arrogance, violent. He started shaking his thighs. And not at all looking at his teacher. And he was so arrogant. So what did Maitreya Rishi do? He said, you are shaking your thighs. On the battlefield, your thighs will be broken to pieces. It was not only Bhima's vow. It was Maitreya Rishi's curse. Or a chance for reformation. And then he said, if you change, then your thighs will not be broken. So what happened? Dhritarashtra forced Maitreya Rishi to speak. So Maitreya Rishi realized speaking will not work for him, breaking will work for him. He received the curse and achieved power without any efforts. He did not had the power or a character to handle. Forget the resources. When Dronacharya, we will discuss that also, he denied giving Brahmastra to Karna and Ashwathama. He gave it to Arjuna. So they came socialism. Usko diya to mujhe bhi dena chahiye. Everybody is equally, right to everything. Why not give everybody everything? This socialism is so dangerous. In fact, even the voting right, if you study carefully, you can purchase vote with a glass of liquor. I was in one village and the villagers were telling me, he said, Prabhuji, यहाँ ना पेड़ के नीचे बड़े बड़े ड्रम में शराब भर के रखता है. As the people are crossing the village to the booth, because It's a village, they have to walk little distance. And as they're drunk and they're told, vote for this party. तो पिया हुआ है, वो बड़बड़ करते उधर ही जाएगा, उधर ही छापा मारेगा. Can you imagine Nani Palkiwala's vote and such drunkards vote are equal? Mat means what? Opinion. Mat is not stamping, mat is opinion. When an opinion of a greatly learned personality and an opinion of a purchased personality is equal, that is the beginning of destruction of the civilization. And we are talking about intellectualism, liberalism, we should be fair and scientific. Where is the science? Where is the scientificness? Another principle, one Chanakya writes in Arthashastra, he said, who are supposed to make the policies? The policies should be designed by the people who are affected. Not those people have nothing to do with what the people are going through. He says, the laws are not made by people who have nothing to do with what's happening. He said laws are always made by the lower rung of people, debated by the people who understand them, the ministers, and that is discussed with the king. And after discussing with the king, going back and forth, what has been proposed by the citizens, the king asks all the minister, what do you think about this? Then they go back and forth. And then when the ministers agree to the proposal given by the people with little changes here and there, then the king becomes a law keeper. He does not become a lawmaker. This is there. And how can you say writing that sarcasm letter? Why? Because that man, whoever has written, there is a height of arrogance. Height of arrogance that I know everything about India, I know everything about other side, therefore I can write this arrogant letter. That is Duryodhan. What is soaking, what is saturated is the Duryodhan mentality that I can give judgment about everything. No, somebody comes from the Western world to take guidance, consult, understand, go back and forth, based upon what you need. Like I was talking to one professor, but he works in the rural area, along with his technological understanding, what he has learned from the Western world. But he knows rural area deeply. And he was talking about water harvesting. He said water harvesting doesn't happen simply by making big, ditches and saying that water harvesting will happen. He said, even in the villages, people knew the place where the water is properly storable. He said there are places which are chargeable. Only in that place when you make ditch, he said then that helps more places to be charged. It is technologically driven, sensitively understanding the nature of the earth and creating the system. It does not haphazard. Therefore, you gave him, therefore you should give it to me also. Newborn baby or a 1-year-old baby asking, मुझे भी 3 परोठा खाना है, उसको 3 क्यों दिया? A Punjabi demanding 3 parotas is understandable. A Keralaite coming from a communist background, मुझे भी 3 परोठा चाहिए. Otherwise it is an injustice. खा ले 3 परोठा. तो खा नहीं पाएगा, तुझे को दही राइस चाहिए. So therefore, this is such a bad concept. Therefore, people don't realize when Karna and Ashwatthama asked Dronacharya, this has been made such a big issue. First of all, people say Karna was not trained by Dronacharya. Dronacharya rejected him because he was from a lower birth. Completely false. At least 7-8 places it is proven that Karna was trained by Drona, but when Brahmastra he did not receive, then he went to Parshuram not for education. By giving a Khota certificate, he wanted Brahmastra. He said, I am a Brahmana, because he knew that Parshuram would not give anything to anybody unless you are a Brahmana. There was a historical problem with the Kshatriyas. He cheated Parshuram, and people sympathize with the cheating. So Karna and Dronacharya said, I can't give unless you are tapasvi brahmana. He didn't say only brahmana. He said tapasvi brahman nahi ho and self-controlled kshatriya nahi ho, to brahmastra nahi milega. He told Karna, you are not self-controlled, and he told his son, you are not tapasvi. He did not give both of them. Then something happened, he gave half knowledge to his son, because there was the Dhritarashtra mentality. No, so therefore, achieved power without efforts. Therefore, Brahmastra can only be handled by those people who have chanted 10 crore Gayatri mantras. जो 10 करोड़ गायत्री मंत्र को जप कर सकता है, उसके हाथ में ब्रह्मास्त्र आएगा. You know, if I say, why there is a discrimination between me and Brahma? Brahma is also living entity. I am also living entity. I want the intelligence of Lord Brahma. So the God says, Tatastu. There is a story when the living entity said, I want the intelligence of Lord Brahma. And Lord gave. He said, take it. And what happened? He disappeared. Because he was not able to handle within his brain. First of all, you need 4 brains. No, not mob. 4 brains he was not able to handle. Therefore, we learn this principle that unless there is a mentor, unless there is a capacity to handle the power, unless you give up the principle of arrogance, आपका पात्र नहीं बनता, तो उसमें content nahi aayega. And that was the problem of Duryodhan. He wanted everything what the Pandavas had. And when he did not get, he was building. And rest of it, Duryodhan, we will speak tomorrow, and we will take their mother, who was, completely different from her husband and her son. Can you imagine dealing with 100 nasty sons? People say, "Arey, kya ye kitna?" One child, not even 1 year old. People think that they are dealing with 100 children. 100 children Gandhari had to deal, and a nasty husband. She lived a life of dharma, but only on 2 occasions she made a mistake, and those mistakes were very painful realities of her life that we will discuss tomorrow. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
RG Media YouTube channel. Like, share, subscribe.